Hello and welcome to Tarot in 10, the Tarot mini lesson every week. I'm Tamara DeGaia and I've taught tarot classes and run tarot groups for over 20 years. One of the ones that I have now is called tarotexplorersclub.com, and I encourage you to check it out because the best way to learn to read tarot is by practicing and immersing yourself in the experience. And we have tarot practice sessions, tarot lessons, and more at tarotexplorersclub.com. Today we are talking about intuitive tarot reading. Now, of course, really with any type of tarot, you want to engage your intuition and see what it has to say about how to put the cards together. That being said, there are actually decks that are just read with intuition. And right now, the Tarot de Marseille, which is the antique French decks. I shouldn't say it's not singular, it's plural. Tarot de Marseille covers a variety of decks, kind of all under the same umbrella, that were developed around the same time in France. And they look like this. They have illustrated major arcana, and the pips or the minor arcana are not illustrated other than, like, for example, right next to the magician there on the top row, the one to the right is the Two of Swords. And so it looks like that. It doesn't look like an illustrated picture like the Rider-Waite-Smith does. And these decks are primarily read just using intuition, just seeing how things are interacting, what it looks like the characters are doing, and what your feeling is about what's going on. So we're going to talk today about reading the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because that's the kind of deck that I generally read and generally teach reading. And with a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the pips or the minor arcana are also illustrated, and there's an esoteric platform or foundation, really, that goes along with reading this deck. So with reading a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, you have a foundation that you want to build along with your intuition. They really go hand in hand. And so really, when you're looking at what a tarot card means, when you're reading a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, you want to think about the keywords, what the number means, what the element means, what the sequence maybe of the suit events are, the symbols on the card, the court personalities, the continuum of traits, the position meanings in the spread, reversals, and unique insights that you have gained from practicing reading. Because every time you read tarot, you're going to gain new, fresh insights, especially when you read with other people. And so all of these are things that I teach, like in my tarot class. And it's the foundation of reading tarot. But you can't just read with just the foundation. That would be like, I don't know, being very stilted and very robotic. You really have to work in what you know in the foundation into your intuition. Let me give you an example. So here I put this in a format where I'm showing you that those things are the foundation. They're really like the house that you live in. They are, the walls that are built, the paint colors that are painted on, and that is what you know, what you live in, what's the structure that you live in every day. Intuition colors all of that. It makes it interesting. It's what is magical and mystical, and it colors everything. As a matter of fact, it should color it like this, where the foundation is there, but intuition is beyond that. And so really, there's those two parts of reading tarot when we're talking about reading with your intuition. So I'm going to give you some examples of reading with intuition. But before I do, I'm going to say, first of all, it's important when you're learning to read tarot that you're both building your foundation and your intuition at the same time. So building the foundation of tarot means taking classes, reading books, and practicing, basically. Intuition is when you practice and when you also start doing things like dream work, and dream work's a really big one I really recommend, and journaling, and things that really spark your creativity and help you gain practice listening to the whisperings of your heart. That's what intuition is. We go through life many times in such a rushed way that those little niggling daydreams, I remember getting into trouble for daydreaming in school. Daydreaming is one of the great ways to access your intuition. just kind of seeing where those little daydream musings take you is listening to your intuition. And intuition is like a small child, really. And it's like part of your inner child, because it's that naive, connected part of yourself that if you suppress it, ignore it, don't listen to what it's saying to you, say, scoff at it, all of those things, it's going to shut down. And so most of us have done that throughout our lives because we got in trouble daydreaming at school, or we just had a job where we just needed to look at the facts only, and that's very much how our society runs. So in order to build up your intuition again, you're really going to have to coax it out and encourage it and find ways to connect with it. That's really an important thing to do. Now, as you are learning tarot and you're learning the foundation and you're working with engaging your intuition, I'm going to tell you that when you actually do your tarot readings, put the book away. Just put it away. It tends to be a crutch for many new readers, and learn that, but learn it separately. When you go to actually read the cards, put the books away and focus on the cards. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So take a look at this card. The first thing we're going to say when we're reading intuitively is we're going to say the name of the cards. This is the Nine of Swords. Okay. That, first of all, it gets you started talking, and it puts the energies of the card out there on the table. And so the second thing you want to start doing is naming what you see objectively. We have 9 swords. They look like they're going across, the card horizontally. This person looks like they're setting up in bed with a quilt on top of them. Their hands are over their face. Okay, it's dark. All right, all of those are objective. Now you start adding into what you see subjectively. The swords look almost like the blinds of a window or the bars of a cage. The person looks like they're distraught because their hands are over their face. It's dark. They can't really see anything. This is definitely not a card of feeling enlightened, right? The quilt, it looks like half covered, half not. So there's maybe an issue here of feeling like part of you is vulnerable and out from under the coverings. Maybe you've taken steps to make yourself vulnerable in some way, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but perhaps it's something that's causing you. So then what you do is you say what you see, and then you take what you see and you run with it, and you start connecting it to the question at hand and the reading and the spread position, all of those things. We've drawn the Strength card. This is part of the major arcana. Here we have a woman with an infinity symbol over her head. She has 2 hands on a lion's head around his mouth. She looks like she has roses around a white robe. In the background is a mountain. In the foreground, we have what looks like a very lush green, almost foresty type of setting. And the background is quite yellow, very bright and yellow. Okay, that's objective. I'm going to go ahead and say with subjective, yellow looks pretty cheerful. Looks like a happy card, a card where there's some joy. White robe means maybe some purity of intention. The red roses, well, what do we know about roses? We know that they're beautiful flowers, but they have thorns, right? So there's a combination of pain and beauty here, or a little bit of danger possibly, and a potential of beauty. And the mountain in the distance, well, mountains can be things that you have to overcome, that you want to climb, a summit. And so there may be some challenge in this card. A lion could represent part of your instinctual nature. And so this could be where you're maybe looking to re-engage with your wild self. All right, you just take it and you run with it. You see how that works. So you're taking things that you already know. I knew that was a major arcana card. I know from studying the tarot that white can mean purity and innocence, but I bet you knew that too, even if you haven't studied the tarot. So this is really an exercise of beginning to dive into what you do know and pull it out by talking about it. Talk through the cards. This is a great way to start reading intuitively. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide here. I'm going to skip this one because I'm running out of time. I'm going to say another way to read intuitively is by looking at 3 cards in like a panel. And in this way, you can do a couple different things. You can look at it as past, present, future, not necessarily even past, present, future. And I think that's very constraining. I prefer to think of 3 cards in a line like that. If I'm looking at it as linear time, thinking it as linear time. It doesn't have to be past, present, and future. It could be now, near future, and far future. It could be distant past, near past, present, right? So if I'm doing it linearly, I think of it just as linear time. The other way to look at these is by looking for what do you see here? Just what do you see? What do I see? Oh my gosh, look at the visual rhymes in these cards. And that's a phrase that was coined by Enrique Enriquez. And he reads actually the Marseille deck that I showed you at the beginning completely intuitively. And I think we have a lot to learn from those readers. And so here we see that it looks like there's an angel with 2 people, and then there's an angel with 2 people and a child between them and some other people in the distance. And then we have a child on a horse and the sun. And so depending on what the question of the reading is, to me, this looks like either a progression or some kind of a development in whatever. Let's say it's a question about, am I going to marry this person I'm dating? And I'm going to say, well, first of all, the tarot can't tell you your future. It can just predict the potential outcome on the trajectory that you're on, or on the trajectory that you choose. It can give you advice and say, hey, if you follow this trajectory, here's where you are going to likely end up. Okay, so that being said, looks like you're compatible, and it looks like your relationship may produce maybe not a child. It might produce a child. There's definitely a child here, but a child can represent other things too. It can represent new beginnings, new birth, a birth of something that you build together, right? And the Judgment card here, we've got the angel first blessing and then shouting with a horn, blowing a horn on you, and you waking up and saying, wow, I had an epiphany. The world looks completely different today. And then this new thing that you birthed together is growing, and it's there's a lot of the sunshine is growth, and the flowers are growing, and the child is growing. Things are growing, and it looks very positive for this relationship. Okay, does that make sense? So you kind of look for the visual rhymes, things that are echoing one another and can indicate a relationship between these 3 cards read together. Here's another one. So here we've got a person looking one way, a person looking another way, and then something in the middle. And so, I don't know what the question would be. Let's say the question is, I feel stuck in my business. Okay. And so I feel stuck in my business. And so the Queen of Pentacles, yes, she looks like she's feeling stuck. She looks like she's looking at it, not knowing what to do with this thing that she has, right? And then in the next card, it looks like there is some kind of consultation going on, and inspiration. And then in the third card, the page, the Queen to the page means that there's a regression here, which isn't necessarily bad, because page means looking at things freshly, acting like you're a beginner. And so here's what I'm going to say is that what you need to do is get together with people that maybe not even get together, but in some way gain the input of people who are familiar with what you're doing. Put out surveys to your Facebook group, or read some other sources that you haven't read. You need to look at this in a different way to get inspired and find maybe something new that you can build with the tools that you already have, and really start over as a beginner in your business. And that's the advice. Okay. You see where I got that from, though? All right, and on and on. You get the idea. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Please check out tarotexplorersclub.com, because the best way to learn tarot is by practicing with other tarot lovers who will support you and help you gain fresh insights. It's a fantastic community. Check it out. Join us. I hope this was helpful. May all your life be luminous.